Today's first session, we're going to hear about migrants. Our speaker today is Father Simon Anand. Just to let you all know, Father Simon Anand and our last week's speaker, Father Joachim Robert, they are not young priests anymore. By young priests in the Catholic Church, at least in Peninsula, in Malaysia, a priest, once he's serving for 5 years or below, is considered a young priest. So both Father Simon and Father Joachim, if I'm not mistaken, they were ordained on the same day. They are about 8 years into the priesthood, so they are no longer young priests. And Father Simon Anand, who is the parish priest of the Kampa, Sacred Heart Church in Kampa. Kampa is where you have Utah and all that. And he has got a huge migrant population. But prior to this, or existingly, Father Simon is also the diocesan chief or diocesan person in charge for youth ministry. If you hear of the youth going to Portugal and all that, it is all under Father Simon Anand's project. And Father Simon has got a huge migrant population in his parish, and he has done a lot of outreach activities using his own parishioners, as well as parishioners from the other parishes also. So we are gifted to hear from Father Simon today on migrant. So before we get started, I just wanted to share 2 or 3 excerpts on migrants. Pope John Paul II, on 9th October 2022, mentioned, "The situation of migrants is disgusting, sinful, criminal. Not to open the doors to those who are in need. No, we exclude them. We send them away to be isolated, where they are exploited and sold as slaves." This is Pope Francis itself on 9th October 2022. And then in the book of Leviticus, it says, "When a stranger resides with you in your land, you shall not wrong him. The stranger who resides with you shall be to you as one of your citizens. You shall love him as yourself, for you were once strangers in the land of Egypt." We are supposed to welcome the stranger. We have to respect his right to live a dignified life. We have to respect his right to seek asylum if life is threatened. And the mission of the Catholic Church is to love Christ, particularly in the poor and the weak, which includes migrants. With that, I invite Father Simon Anand to take on the mic. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Das. Thank you so much for the reflection too. Thank you so much. I would just share with you whatever we have been doing here in this small parish with the limited resources and with the passionate people. So, brothers and sisters, I promise you I won't bring you on a theological ride. Otherwise, it will bore you down. I will just share with you our experiences here in Kampa. Just to introduce, this is our church. This is how it looks like. Just across along the main road along the main trunk road. So you're all invited to come if you have not been, or even if you have been, you are most invited to come. So I would not be presenting to you representing the diocese, but I will just present to you based on what we have been doing in Kampa, reaching out to migrants, particularly the Indonesian migrants here. We do have Nepalese, Bangladeshis, and all the other nationalities as well. But we have got a huge number of Indonesians who are actually Christians. So we have started venturing into ministering to them. And now with the limited resources that we have, we are also reaching out to all the other nationalities, though they are few in number, but we have made that first attempt. So what I will do, brothers and sisters here, I will go through with you. I have summarized our ministry in Kampa to the migrants into these subcategories. Sacramental, because we started off this ministry by focusing on sacraments, and the ministry has been in existence even before me. There have been great people who have started this ministry before me, and we are just bringing it to even a greater height. So we have always been focusing on sacramental. I will give you a bit more detail as I go through these slides later. Then after that, from sacramental, we have gone slightly higher by providing to their physiological needs, shelter, a decent toilet, water, and liaising with their employers, basic attires, medicines, hygiene items, and things like that. Then we have also progressed even much better towards medical. We have started having medical camps. Many of you were instrumental and involved in this medical camps. In Kolompok, India, in the place where they are staying, as well as in our very parish. We will go into details later. And then we have also even progressed from there, especially after knowing that migrants' fundamental need, they don't suffer poverty that much because many of them are working here and they are earning quite well in their plantations. So to say all the Indonesian migrants are poor financially, that is a myth, because not all of them are financially poor. By the very fact, they earn quite a good living. But they are poor in other sense. For example, one of the fundamental poverty that they experience is documentation, because most of them are coming to Malaysia without having to have any documents. Some of them don't have any Malaysian documents. Some of them don't even have Indonesian documents. They don't even have basic identity card from Indonesia. And we will venture into the reasons and all these things later, because it's rather very complex. So due to this, we have also started focusing on arranging some kind of a documentation for these people so that their stay here while they are working is safe. Because, you know, when you don't have IC, you are prone to all kinds of abuses and all kinds of security problems. So when migrants, especially on top of it, when they don't have any form of documentation, then I think they are prone to all the other subjugation, which involves corruption, bribery, abuses, and a deprivation of basic needs like medical, Medicare, food, and things like that. So therefore, the church has started seeing, I'm very sure by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, that documentation is a key thing. Documentation is a key thing to solve all the other issues that they might be facing. And the church has ventured into it very successfully. And now we are also collaborating with the Indonesian Embassy in Kuala Lumpur. Indonesian Embassy has visited us several times to the parish, especially on days like Migrant Sunday, parish feast days. So an Indonesian embassy comes here to the parish, they will look into the documentation of the migrants, which we will talk about it in detail later. Then now we have also progressed towards establishing school for Indonesian kids who are here, especially those Indonesian kids who are born in Malaysia here. So we are, and they are going to stay for some time until they go back to Indonesia. So as long as they stay here for a short period of time, for a stint, we would actually look into their documentation and stuff like that. And then also for computer classes for adults. So this is how I've summarized whatever we have been doing. Now let us go a bit more in detail. As long as this is our church interior, you can see this. I think this photo was taken during one of the migrant Sundays where the church was packed, especially with the migrants, also with the locals. So as when it comes to sacramental need, what are the things that the parish does? First, we have Bahasa Mass in Bahasa on every Sunday at 11 a.m. Some of you might wonder, 11 a.m., wow, it's a bit too late. But it has to be like that because many migrants are staying very far away, because we have got 11 Kelompoks. Kelompo is a place where I will go to a plantation, to a particular plantation, and I will celebrate Mass at the particular plantation. So people, the migrants, would come from all kind of places in order to gather in that particular spot, which we call Kelompo. So we have got 11 Kelompoks under the Church of the Sacred Heart Tampa. And some Kelompoks are very near. Many Kelompoks are very far. Some Kelompo can take an hour for us to reach to the Kelompo, and perhaps half an hour of a normal road. The other one is off-road. So it can be very a difficult travel also. So therefore, we need to give them ample of time so that they can travel from their Kelompo to the parish in time. And especially for those of them who are actually involved in the liturgy, they take up the liturgy in terms of reading, choir, LCD, and things like that. So they may want to arrive early to the church because they don't get opportunity to practice in the church every now and then. They can only come out on certain times, at certain period, at certain hours. So therefore, having mass at 11 a.m. is a great help for them, so that they have ample time to come. Then after they come, like unlike many of us city people, we wish our masses could be short, maybe 1 hour. We wish our mass is not prolonged with preachings, with singings and all these things. Unlike migrants, their situation is different because they are coming to church once in a while. They prefer mass to be longer. Therefore, sometimes I have got no choice but to prolong my preaching, even though I have to repeat certain things. But this is what they prefer because they want to spend time in the church. Even after mass, many migrants will stay on in order to spend time in the church, like fellowship. We will arrange food, or they themselves will cook in our soup kitchen here. Then they have something called Karja Bhakti. Karja Bhakti is basically when they come and do something for the church, for the parish, or for the poor even. That is considered Karja Bhakti according to their culture. So Sunday when they come here, they just help out in ways that they want to. Sometimes they'll do gardening, sometimes they'll plant some fruit trees or some flowers or whatsoever. So these are all considered their Karja Bhakti. Then sometimes on Sunday after mass, they will have their formation given by me or given by anyone who has been invited by them. And then we also have leaders meeting. Each Kolompo has got a leader, 11 Kolompo, and all these leaders will gather once a month for the meeting in the parish. And that's on Sunday. And then after this meeting, we will have little fellowship with them. So second, major liturgical events for migrants in Kampa. The church in Kampa would take about 300, capacity is about 300, comfortably sit 300. But for these feasts, there will be overflowing crowd. The reason Easter Sunday that we had, there were about 600 migrants alone on Easter Sunday. They were inside the church, they were outside the church. It was just like a big festa. So these are the important events where a big number of them will gather. Easter Sunday, Christmas morning, parish feast day. Our parish feast day is a feast of Sacred Heart, which is celebrated over 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the Sunday Mass normally will be taken over by the migrants entirely. They will animate the entire Mass. If you have got some time, one day you must come and visit us. The Mass would be superb. They would sing, they would animate everything, very lively. And all will be done in Bahasa. Then Migrant Sunday, of course, is a big do in the parish. Confirmation, when bishop comes to confirm them. So our confirmation would not only be catechetical students, but migrants would also be part of confirmation. Separate classes would be arranged for them so that they could prepare themselves spiritually for the confirmation, and also First Holy Communion, which is shortened as FHC. These are the big events, liturgical events for migrants in Kampa. Then weddings. You see, some of them have come here in a very young age. Some of them have come here during their late teenage. Some of them have come here in their early 20s. So they have spent umpteen years here, very long period of time here, sometimes 10 years, sometimes 15 years. They migrate, even there are intra-migration. Extra migration is them coming from Indonesia to Malaysia. So once they have come to Malaysia, they intra-migrate from one parish to another parish, or from one Kolompo to another Kolompo, according to their boss. Wherever their boss get the project, they will just echo the boss only wherever they're supposed to go. So therefore, we have to look into weddings, baptism of their children, and all the other sacramental details that we do for the locals. Otherwise, they would completely be marginalized. So therefore, sacramental, one of the subsector of the sacramental ministry for the migrants is wedding. Whereas for wedding, first of all, if they express their desire of wanting to get married, we will obtain status liber, because status liber basically means that they are free, that they have not contracted into any legal or church marriage before. So we'll get the status liber clearance from the church in Indonesia. to say, according to the Indonesian government and Indonesian church, that they have not gotten married before. So once I obtain the status liber, then I will send them for a wedding course. But of course, this wedding course is not EE that we usually send the couples to. Because when it comes to migrants, serving the migrants, we really need to think out of the box. We really need to go on extraordinary form. EE would not work, especially when things come to people who are undocumented. We cannot be sending them to Penang or Stella Maris or BM for courses. So the local church has to assume the responsibility of running the wedding course for them. So the wedding course will be run here in Kampa, and the wedding course, the program has been custom made particularly for the Indonesians in Kampa, according to our local popular piety here, according to our needs and wants here, according to what they go through also. So the wedding course is completely different, though essentials are there, but we have to insert a lot of elective differences in the wedding program. Then once we marry them off in Kampa, their wedding will be a big do. They will come with their wedding gowns like this. You can see them wearing wedding gowns. This was taken in Kampa. So they'll be coming in their wedding gowns, and then once the wedding is completed, we will send the notification to their church in Indonesia, because somehow one day they will return to Indonesia. So when they return, the church there in Indonesia, their local parish, recognizes their wedding that has taken place here, their marriage. So all this documentation work, which is very tedious, would be done in the parish, would be done in this parish. And all will be channeled to the respective authorities, whether it's church or even embassy. Then you also have, you see, when you have many weddings, you're prone to have many baptisms, because that's a call of wedding. Unity and procreation are the two properties of marriage, not only for migrants, for everyone. Unity of the couples and procreation, openness to children. So migrants, therefore, are very, very fruitful. They have got many children, and therefore, since they are very, very fruitful, the church has to celebrate baptism every month in the parish. Every first Saturday of the month would be infant baptism, would be celebrated in the parish. Usually, brothers and sisters, there are at least 5 babies, minimum. I believe you would agree with me when I say we are very fruitful. Usually at least 5 migrant babies we will have, but many a times it's more than 5 babies. So their baptism record, once the babies are baptized, baptism record will be sent to their parish in Indonesia also, so that with that baptism record, they will get all the other details arranged. Like, for example, their kartu keluarga, their family card. Once they go to Indonesia, they have to get their ration card, family card, in order to identify the citizens according to the family. So when we send our baptism record there, it is registered in the church, and then the church there will provide a copy to the relevant civil authorities, so that the baby is inserted in that kartu keluarga, family card, so that when the baby goes back or taken back, the baby is recognized as a member in the family. So that's the importance of baptism here. Then baptism certificate also could be, this baptism certificate that the church, the parish issues, could also be used at the embassy to obtain Indonesian birth certificate for them. So let's say the mother and the father are undocumented. They don't have any form of documentation, and the mother has given birth here in Malaysia. And then once the child is baptized here in Kampa, the church produces baptism certificate, and they take the baptism certificate to KL embassy, Indonesian embassy in KL. And with that baptism certificate, Indonesian embassy will issue birth certificate for the child. That's a big piece of good news. Then in protection of the child, Indonesian embassy also can provide documentation for the mother. Any form of documentation. It can be SPLP, we call it. SPLP means a document that is given to you for a course of 1 or 2 years, that you can stay in Malaysia with document for 1 or 2 years. After that, you have to go back. So they will give this kind of document to the mother, so that the mother can protect the child. Sometimes this kind of compassion and generosity is also extended to the father, but it's a bit difficult. Normally, mothers get it. So that's the purpose of baptism. So here you see the baptism that we give, it is not only ecclesiological, it is not only church thing, it is not only sacramental thing. It is also civil thing. It helps us, or it helps the migrants to get their proper documents. And this makes us very proud because the church is something in the world. It talks about the church in the world, not church only within that the fence of the church, fence of the parish. So sacramental, another thing, we celebrate Kolompo Masses monthly. I will go for Kolompo Masses every month. We have got 11 Kolompo, so I only go at night. It's a Nicodemus service, we call it, because Nicodemus only goes and sees Jesus at night in John's Gospel. So it's a service of Nicodemus. We go and see, we go and minister to them at night. Why at night? Because they have to finish all their plantation work. They have to come and gather in this particular Kolompo. Then I go there for Mass. So when I go there for Mass, I will listen to their confession. I will anoint those who are sick. I will anoint and pray over the Wanita who is hamil and things like that. Then I will try to tackle all the necessary issues that we could tackle. Then I will celebrate Mass. And then, interestingly, the readings, I will go over the weekdays. Normally, the Masses would be from Tuesday to Friday or Tuesday to Thursday. Every week, Tuesday to Thursday, we may have Mass. Normally, when I go, I will take Sunday reading. So that, because Sunday is a day of obligation for all of us. We have to attend service in the church, whether it's Mass or service or whatsoever. Since they cannot come to church every Sunday, so when I go to their place, I will take Sunday reading, so that even though it is weekday, they have the opportunity of fulfilling their day of obligation at least once a month. So that's the reason. So these are the Kolompok that we have, the names of the places. Batu Putih, Kebun Jagung, Rumah Tiga, Rumah Banglo, Trono Mines, Kampung Gajah, Kota Pinang, Pulau Tiga, Air Kuning, Mambang Diawan, Sungai Kro, TJC. So these are all Kolompok under CSH Kampa, Church of the Sacred Heart Kampa. So these are some of the pictures, brothers and sisters. You see Kolompo Mass celebrated by Indonesian priests. We invite Indonesian priests during the season of Lent and Advent. And during the season of Lent and Advent, the Indonesian priests will go around to all the Kolompo. On all the other masses, I myself will go and visit them. So Advent and Lent, Indonesian priests, at least they have got a taste of a priest coming from Indonesia to show that the church in Indonesia cares for them, that kind of thing. Then Holy Communion, we will celebrate. This are the picture of Holy Communion. Then you see Bishop giving confirmation to the candidate. And we also have Christmas celebration of the migrants. You see locals and migrants together, Christmas celebrations. These are some of the photos. Then under physiological, we give them under physiological, we are working hand in hand with the employers for proper living shelters, places for Mass, toilet facilities, etc. So if migrants, sometimes, since we are meeting them every week and some of them every month, they will inform us, they will let us know whether they have proper living shelters, even though it is just like Rumah Setinggan, makeshift house. It may not be like our houses. It's just a makeshift house. It might be there today, it might not be there tomorrow. It might be swept off by the wind or by rain or whatsoever. It's just a makeshift. So we are working hand in hand with the employers so that when we know that the Kolompo is in need of some shelter or toilet facilities, then the church and the boss would see what are the things we can do in order to erect or establish some kind of a shelter in order to look into their physiological needs. Then we also provide chairs, tables, canvas, etc., once in a while, not every time, so that we can have Mass very decently. They will put up canvas. When we give them canvas, they themselves will erect the canvas. Then they will arrange the chairs, tables in a very dignified manner. And then we will have Mass in the midst of plantation, Kelapa Sawit. In the midst of Kelapa Sawit plantation, we will have Mass. It's a very beautiful experience. If you have got time, you can come and join us to obtain this experience. So once in a while, we will also provide hygiene items like toothpaste, soap, brush, and all the items according to their needs. So this is some of the pictures. You see on my left, you have Tari Tali. This was event, a games kind of sports event done during Migrant Sunday in the parish. Tari Tali is one of their favorite games. So migrants are participating. Then they are also dancing for Palm Sunday. You see, migrants are actually ushering, initiating the procession by dancing, liturgical dance for the entrance scene. Then these are some of the ration items you can see there that we have also given out to migrants during and after MCO. After MCO, the needs have gone down a bit because many of them are working. Now, generally, things are a bit more settled. It was during MCO that a lot of needs were supposed to be given. So medical is the third sector that we are really embarking upon. By the way, these are all real pictures, brothers and sisters. These pictures was not taken from Google. This migrant camp was held in our parish for COVID vaccination, for all the other vaccinations for mothers and the babies, so all were done in the parish and also their Colombo. So as long as medical sector is concerned, monthly medical checkup at various Colombo are done. CSH stands for Church of the Sacred Heart, collaborates with other parishes also in Penang, in Northern, and in all the other parts of diocese where they cooperate with us in order to organize this medical checkup at Colombo. So you can see some of the pictures where the local doctors and the doctors who have come from Penang, who have gone to their Colombo in order to organize this medical checkup. So thank God our local doctors, our local nurses, medical personnel are very cooperative. We got quite a number of good doctors in the parish. We also have got a good number of nurses in the parish who are also helping, who are also outside the parish. So brothers and sisters, number 3 is we are also thinking of starting off a clinic. We can't call it clinic. That's why I put it in inverted comma, because we are not going to be a registered body. We're going to start off clinic in our hall here, in our parish hall, every week. A migrant mass is at 11 a.m. So after migrant mass, say from 12 noon to 2 p.m. for a period of 2 hours, we want to start clinic, or we call it medical center, or whatever appropriate term in Kampa, especially in order to reduce the mortality of mothers and the child. Now, many migrants, they don't go for proper checkup when they are pregnant. They don't go for vaccination. They don't really follow up things properly medically. So therefore, quite a number of death when it comes to babies, stillborn, and babies, miscarriage or whatsoever, and also mothers. So since this is actually a very imminent danger, in the parish, we have thought about starting off a clinic just 2 hours after the migrant mass, so that the mothers who come for the migrant mass, after that, they can just adjourn to our clinic here in order to get themselves checked up, treated. So, and the clinic, we are planning to have the clinic open every week so that they have some kind of a mindset, so that they know we can go to church in order to get ourselves checked. And then I think they can get away from this fear, get away from this complacency, and all the other things that actually serve as a hindrance for them to come forward in order to get themselves checked. So that's something is in progress, though we have to fine tune it. So if any of you are interested, you can call Melanie, is our parishioner. Melanie is heading the team. That's Melanie's number. Melanie will provide you more details about the clinic, what we are intending to do. And the clinic, actually, we are going to serve the migrants and the poor. That's our main goal. And especially to reduce the mortality of the mother and the child. That's the main aim, main objective. Then medical, we are also working closely at this point in time. You can see from the pictures up there, we have people from Klinik Kesihatan Kampa. We have Malays who are also volunteers who have come. We also have doctors and nurses from all the other places. So as of now, we are working very well with our local doctors and nurses who are Catholic doctors and nurses. We are also working well with the Klinik Kesihatan Kampa. Some of the staff to be found in the pictures are from Klinik Kesihatan Kampa. We are also working very closely with Jabatan Kesihatan Kinta, who has also given some vaccination for us recently to be given to the mothers and the babies, I think, or the mothers alone. We are also working closely with Utah Hospital, pharmacists, a particular lady called Miss Yo Po Tiang. She's a pharmacist there in Utah Hospital. We also work closely with Searchi, Buddhist Association. One of the doctors from Buddhist Association, who is also a pediatrician, has volunteered to come and help us with the migrant clinic here. Then we are also working very closely with Caritas Penang. So these are some of the important bodies with whom we are working very closely. So it is not only our Sendirian Berhad mission. We are actually collaborating with many people. But it's very interesting and is, I think, noteworthy to know that we are not only dealing with Catholics, we are also dealing with all the other people like Searchi and people like this. So it is important, as Pope Francis has clearly said, that sometimes on doctrinal matters, we cannot look for unity between all the other faith and other religion. But on a charity level, we can think of unity because we can be united when it comes to charity, because everybody got flesh and blood and everybody can go through suffering, whether you are baptized or non-baptized. So therefore, I think today we might need to go on this platform, looking for unity in terms of charity rather than doctrines and official teachings alone. So these are some of the photos also that we have captured. Medical checkup for mothers and children. You can see a lot of migrants are seated there in our parish hall. You can see medical volunteers. I'm also seated in the middle, but I've got nothing to do with medical. I'm not a medical person. They roped me in and asked me to come and sit for the photo. So I went and sat. So we have got all the doctors seated there. We have got nurses. We have got our parish volunteers. And we have got some Buddhists also. We've got some Utah Hospital volunteers also. So thanks to all of them. Okay. And embassy is the fourth sector that I would like to speak about. Embassy. So we liaise with embassy in KL, Indonesian embassy, for SPLP. I do not know what is the full abbreviation for SPLP. SPLP basically means is to obtain 2-year passport for those who have entered Malaysia without any documents. So let's say they have entered Malaysia without any documents, even without Indonesian documents. You know, when we come to know geography, Indonesian geography, we'll come to know Indonesia has got 17,000 islands. Maybe all small islands here and there. And the Indonesians are everywhere, scattered, diaspora. And even more interestingly to know that in some of these islands do not have Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara or Negeri. We call it JPN, but I don't know what they call it. They don't have JPN there. So it's tie up to their school. They have to go to school. They have to study in school in order to get all this documentation done. So therefore, they are from all these pulaus in Indonesia. They come from some of the pulaus from there. So some of them, when they come to Malaysia, they have not obtained any form of documentation, even Indonesian documentation. So when they come to Malaysia, when they come to know they are completely undocumented, we will try to get SPLP for them from embassy in Kuala Lumpur, Indonesian embassy. And Indonesian embassy will give them SPLP sometimes for 1 year. Sometimes it could be extended for some reasons. They give 2 years. So for the period of the 2 years, they can stay here without any fear. Without any fear of police, without any fear of immigration, without any fear of any authorities, because their stay here is considered legal when they get SPLP. So within this period of 2 years, they can also work somewhere in order to earn their living, in order to buy flight ticket or save up some savings in order to bring back. 2 years after that, they have to go back. So that's something very important that the church is embarking upon embassy. Sometimes embassy themselves comes to the church here in order to give them that kind of documentation. Then we also provide birth certificate for children born in Malaysia. As I told you, when they're baptized here, we give baptism certificate, and then the baptism certificate will be given to embassy. Embassy will give them Indonesian birth certificate for the children. And because they're giving to the child, infant, toddler, they also give to the mother as a protector of the child. So we are also working on it. All these things has been very successful. And then registration for Kartu Keluarga, Kartu Tanda Penduduk. This is a full KTP, they call it. Kartu Tanda Penduduk is KTP is IC, what we call IC, They call it Kartu Tanda Penduduk, KTP. identity card for those with zero documentation. So even if they don't have KTP, we will still they can still obtain the SPLP. We just need to refer to the embassy, but the process can be a bit more tedious. Then embassy approves the baptism certificates produced by Church of the Sacred Heart Kampa in order to obtain a birth certificate for them. Okay, school for kids and computer class for adults. This is our last thing. This has not materialized yet. Of course, all these photos are not Google image, except the pretty girl who's showing you thumbs up. That one is, and also the computer one is from Google. The rest, the child with the red baju is actually from Kampa. It was done during one of the migrant Sundays. We had some games for them. Parishioners from Cathedral, parishioners from Matang Tinggi, and volunteers from other places. They came in order to organize these things for us. Thanks to all of them. So what is next in store? Just give me, I know it's 8:47. Just give me a bit more time. I'll just complete it. So children are deprived of many basic needs if they don't go to school. So children, Indonesian children who are in Malaysia, they are not in Indonesia. Therefore, they are not enrolled in school there. So if they are not enrolled in school there, they are deprived from many basic elementary needs, which may affect them now and in the future. First of all, education. That's very clear-cut. Secondly, documentation. Because their documentation is tied up their school. So only when they go to school, they get this Kartu Keluarga organized, KTP organized, Kartu Tanda Pendudu, and all these things are organized for them through the school. So if they are not enrolled in school, they will become stateless. They will have no documents. Not only that, even their catechism classes is tied up to their school. You know, in our olden days in Malaysia, we used to go to school for catechism class, class agama. The Lasal brothers used to come to school to teach. So Indonesians still have the same system where their catechism classes is held in school. The priest or the parish sends a particular teacher to the school to teach catechism. Then the teacher brings back the list of their students or pupil from the school to the priest, and the priest registers them in their parish record and give them baptism or whatsoever it may be needed. So even sacramental administration in Indonesia is dependent on their school. So if they don't go to school, they don't get their First Holy Communion, they don't get their confirmation. And that's why in Kampa, we celebrate a lot of First Holy Communion and confirmation because many of them are not enrolled in school. They don't have any kind of documentation. They ran away to Malaysia. So we have to celebrate all these sacraments so that once they go back to Indonesia, their process of reinstating there is rather smooth. Otherwise, they're going to have a lot of problems. So when they are not enrolled in Indonesian school, these are the problems they face. So therefore, we have thought about school for kids here in Malaysia. Even though we cannot call it school, we have to call it. We are in consultation with the Indonesian embassy in Kuala Lumpur, and also one school, Indonesian school in Ampang, Kuala Lumpur, which recently has been raided. They had some problems. So that's school. So in progress of working with embassy to open Pusat Kebudayaan Indonesia. We have to call it Pusat Kebudayaan Indonesia for some legal purposes. And we are thinking of opening Pusat Kebudayaan Indonesia in CSH Kampa. And if we are successful, then embassy would provide us the syllabus and they will provide us the books. And then we will get some migrants with documents in order to run that school year. You might think when we talk about migrants, many migrants are illiterate, but that is another myth. I can tell you, many migrants here, they are actually halfway university students. They went into Indonesian university, but due to poverty, they have to be terminated from the university. And then they went in search of work in foreign countries. So some of them can read and write. When you teach them certain things, they are very fast learners. They can pick up things very fast. So it's only when we don't create opportunities for them, they might appear to be illiterate, but that is not the case actually. So we'll get the migrants themselves in order to help us to teach. And then some officials from Indonesian embassy will come in order to run the school also for us on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday, the whole day. But this has not been successful. We are still working on it. Please pray for us. And if you have got any idea, if you got any context to help us to open this Pusat Kebudayaan Indonesia, please let us know. So if this is successful, brothers and sisters, most of the problems stated above in regards to sacraments, in regard with documentation, in regards with education, are all resolved. And then the children here would really have their basic education. And once they go back to Indonesia, let's say they have completed their standard 3 year, once they go back to Indonesia, they will be reinserted in the standard 4. They don't need to start all over again. So it'll be that kind of a system. So please pray for us. At the same time, please extend your helping hands if you could help us. So Pusat Kebudayaan Indonesia would also include catechism classes. So we will have catechism classes for them in it, preparing them for sacraments here. We will give them the sacraments. So computer classes for adults. You know, some of these ladies who are found in this picture, they were actually studying in university there. At least one who is in this picture was studying in the university there. So have to leave the university studies in order to come and work in Malaysia. Then recently, the particular lady and some of the other ladies in their kelompok requested, Father, can you help us to run computer classes in your church for them? They want to learn computer and they want to learn English. So now we are also arranging computer classes. Of course, nothing has been successful yet. We are trying to arrange computer classes for them, and we are trying to arrange computer teachers to teach them computer basic, Microsoft and things like that. And then we also want to get someone to teach them English, at least spoken English. So some migrants, especially ladies, are interested in acquiring computer lessons. They were supposed to be graduates, brothers and sisters, but due to poverty, they have to opt for migration. So that's it. Thank you so much. And this is our church. This is the procession, Eucharistic procession that took place during our parish feast day on the street. And you see a lot of migrants and locals in this picture. It is actually, I'm very proud to say, the church in Kampa is actually the amalgamation of both locals and foreigners and migrants. And migrants are well received by our parishioners in Kampa. So thank you. And for further information or assistance, you may contact me, but you may contact Melanie Way because she's better than me. She knows things more in detail. You may contact Melanie Way in order to ask for details, or you may also drop a message to me. Thank you. God bless you. Hallelujah.
We thank Father Simon for giving us a very insightful view into what's happening. It is going beyond food, shelter, and clothing. When we talk about migrants, when we talk about the poor, we always talk about food, shelter, and clothing. And here he has told us that that is not the main needs. The other needs, the religious needs, the educational needs, and all that. And how he and his team are doing bridge building, being inclusive, engaging, diversity, and unity in charity. And it is really interesting sharing from Father Simon Anand. We thank Father Simon, and we appreciate his good work, and we will support. He has mentioned a few times asking us to pray for him, pray for his team's efforts. So we hear that call loud and clear, and we also help in other ways.